local people, important issues. CBS 10 WILM's weekly focus on the Lower Cape Fear region. This is Byline Wilmington with your host, Don Ansell.
Yeah, you will know. Well, how hard is it to get a mortgage? Is it time to refinance? How do you get the best rate? These are some of the issues we'll be tackling today, along with the new rules on credit cards and banking. Our guests are both experts in their fields. Alan Efting has been a mortgage banker for more than 20 years, and Mark Johnson is area executive with Newbridge Bank. They're both actually with Newbridge Bank right here in Wilmington. Thank you both for joining us. Nice to meet you, Mark, and Alan. Good to see you again.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
This is an interesting time in banking and in the mortgage business. Alan, let's start with you. Would it be factual to say that interest rates today are at historic lows?
You bet they are.
Yeah.
We've said that for several years now, but we really mean it now. They are historically and have been historically low.
You've been in the business over 20 years. Have you ever seen them lower than this?
No, never have. This is something, and sustaining this long is something we've never seen before. So this
what's new? I don't know if you're allowed to give what's Newbridge quoting at the moment? Are you allowed to do that?
Well, interest rates do fluctuate depending on the situation. But let's just say they're in the mid fours. That's where they have been, and a little lower at some time. So anything under 5%, Don,
in
is
the interest
really,
of
really
complete
good.
transparency, I recently refinanced my home with Newbridge Bank, and have known Alan for years, and I think I got 4.5. So
you did well.
I did well.
You did well,
considering where it was. I remember just a few years ago, most folks could get a mortgage with very little income verification. This was in the rockin' 90s and the early part of the 2000. Little verification of income and little money down, and some were giving 100% financing. Has that changed today?
Yeah, it has. We are certainly asking for a lot more documentation, all necessary. It's income, asset verifications, still 100% financing available. Don.
Really?
Yes.
But stricter guidelines on the paperwork you have to provide.
Yeah, we're going to ask you a few more questions. We're going to look into the income a little closer nowadays, and we're going to get to the assets if we need them for down payment. We want to verify you've been on your job for a little while.
Was that easy? What I call easy money, Mark? Was that part of what led to the housing collapse of the market?
It certainly was one facet of a very complicated situation. Absolutely. The easy access to credit, without a doubt, played a part, and hence the tighter standards that not only Alan is seeing on his side, on the mortgage side, but what we're seeing on the traditional banking, the retail, commercial side as well.
So where does the buck stop on that whole litany of issues that played out and that led to the housing collapse? What would you say?
Well, really, I think it's back to the basics, and I think that's probably going to end up being the solution to the bigger problem, and that means that for those that are out there looking for financing, you're going to have equity, and you're going to have to show that you can support the debt.
Was it the banks that owned some of the problems that were that led to the housing collapse?
Yes, there's no question. I mean, there's certainly the banks financed properties that too aggressively.
But all within the realms of what was allowed.
Absolutely. At the time, the regulatory environment was such that it was okay to do that. You're absolutely correct. Of course, on the other side, people were borrowing that money too. It was a rather.
Did Newbridge have many in their portfolio? A lot of those loans.
We certainly have our fair share. Mm-hmm. No question about it. Every bank, certainly in this market, being a coastal bank and very real estate dependent, which is has been hit the hardest, is seeing issues.
But Newbridge has been very successful.
Yes, we fortunately saw our problems early. We attacked them early. We reserved for those issues, and we are coming out of this quite well.
Yeah. Alan, how much harder is it to qualify today than it was back in those easy times?
Well, obviously the documentation portion is causing a little more difficulty for some, but the basics are still there, Don. You still have to have a job, and we're going to verify that.
Right.
You still have to have a down payment.
And all income has to be verified now.
It does. Yeah, we're gonna check with your employer. We're going to ask you for some tax returns and some pay stubs.
I might
Essentially,
add that the process I went through with you was a little bit more complicated, but you heralded me through the process pretty.
we're going to tell you right up front. We're
pretty
going to tell
easily.
you when you apply for the loan to be prepared to provide us with tax returns, with pay stubs, with W-2s, with bank statements, and those sort of things.
Let's unmask, Mark, and this may
Yes,
be
sir.
more in your area, the credit card score mystery. And I know, Alan, and we've talked about credit card scores. You had to find mine out.
Yes.
In order, and everybody has to, that has to be checked in order to get a mortgage.
Sure.
And other banking amenities, I would imagine. What is a credit score for folks that aren't clear on it or don't know?
Well, your credit score is dependent on how you've used your credit, how much credit you have, and whether you've used it inappropriately.
So it lists everything, all your business transactions relative to borrowing?
Actually, it lists primarily your personal transactions. Now, if you borrow business, if in your personal name you take out a business loan,
Right.
it will show up.
Sure.
But if you own an LLC, it does not show up on your personal credit report.
But how you pay your credit cards, how you pay your
Absolutely.
mortgage,
Yes.
how you pay
Absolutely.
other maybe installment loans on automobiles,
Absolutely.
all of that shows up.
Absolutely.
And a good credit score today is what?
Well, a good credit score for the best interest rates is above 740, 740 and above.
And 10 years ago or 5 years ago, it was
680, 675 in that range. That got you the best interest rates. They have just increased that bar to the 740 range now.
and who decides what your credit score is?
Well, there are models. There are credit score models that each of the credit bureaus
There are 3
use.
credit bureaus.
Yes, there are.
That's correct.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And they gather information. Information is fed to them, and it's not always right, though, is it?
Well, no, there can be mistakes on your credit, and that's something you should monitor annually or semi-annually and look at, make sure there are no mistakes, because some mistakes can be costly.
That's right.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what if you find a mistake on your credit score, how do you change it, how do you fix it, and how do you even find out what your credit score is? We'll tell you all about that when we come back. Stay with us.